okay. What's the worst that could happen? So the other day I was on Twitter talking smack and acting crazy.
I'm the Lord of the Pants!
AKA what I do when I'm too lazy to actually work on a video, when someone linked me to a video on Eryzio. Now, I was planning on working on a counter video to his Unova starter videos, but since that one would take a little bit more time as I want to tighten up the arguments, I have to push that to the side, which is why we're here. But anyway, someone linked me to Eryzio's mistyped Pokemon in Sun and Moon video. I did a few tweets about the points in the video, and Eryzio found me. Although I'm pretty sure that the hoodlum Scrafty pointed him towards me. Thanks, Callum. Or maybe not, since Eryzio said he likes my videos. I'm getting multiple signals here. I figured I'd honor Eryzio's request and do a video. And have a bit more fun with it too. Why not? I need to pick up the slack during this holiday season.
Do not question the higher level YouTuber.
One of the most mysterious Pokemon to enter the Alola region has to be the potential third legendary Pokemon Necrozma. The only things we know about Necrozma is that it's related to prisms and that it uses the light as its main source of energy. Besides that, we really don't know too much about this Pokemon. But when you take a look at this Pokemon, what does it look like to you? Is it A, a dark type? B, a dark type, or C, all of the above? If you just answered A, B, or C, then congratulations, you're a sane human being.
Meh, sanity's overrated. Just ask manga. I'm telling you, I have clones running around, they're real, and one of them's a ghostly commentator. He's never been better.
But when actually looking at this Pokemon's typing, it's not. I get that the legendary trio is psychic type, and I'm not trying to remove the typing, I'm just saying that making it a psychic dark type would make a whole lot more sense. It already learns a bunch of dark type moves and can even use the dark type Z move.
To be honest, I can see your logic here, but there are a few problems with it. It only learns one dark move naturally, the other moves have to be taught via TM. If it could learn other dark moves via level up, then you'd have a much stronger case here. However, we've seen a lot of Pokemon learn a bunch of moves that are outside their typing. One that comes to mind instantly is Gourgeist, which can learn up to 6 fire type moves, or the Feraligatr line, which can learn up to 5 ice type moves. Just because a Mon can learn certain types of moves, that doesn't mean it has to be that type. Like I said though, I can't see your logic here. What I think is a moot point is bringing up its Z move, however, since any Pokemon with a dark type move with the Darkanium Z equipped to it can use that. By that logic, any Pokemon that can do that should be considered a dark type.
And I don't want to be that guy who says, oh, it's black, so it has to be a dark type. But come on, man. It looks like a dark type.
Except that would kinda go against the whole prism motif. You know, light refraction and all that jazz. If anything, you could have made a really strong case for being a psychic rock type Pokemon, since we have had gemstone Pokemon like Diancie and Carbink before. And the move pool argument would have been a lot more solid. I hate puns, but in actuality, your arguments here could actually be a very good strong case for it. Let's go with your move argument. It can learn as many rock moves as dark type moves, however, it learns 3 rock moves normally, including power gem moves. This would have been an excellent entry if you said psychic rock instead of psychic dark. And the third point here would go with the rule of 3 that you used, like how you pointed out the other 2 legendaries, Solgaleo and Lunala, with Solgaleo and Lunala being the rather obvious, and Necrozma being a representative of the earth with a rock typing.
One of the most difficult totem Pokemon in these games has to be Lurantis. The combined effort of Castform Sunny Day and Lurantis' Solar Blade is a deadly combo.
Real minor nitpick, but the Trilunatis doesn't really need to have Castform out to use its Solar Blade attack. It's got an equipped Power Herb to it.
But what would have made this trial a whole lot easier is if Lurantis got a bug and grass typing. Now I'm not going to hate too much on this Pokemon because I actually like the fact that the trial was so difficult, which is why it's so low on the list. But if we're talking scientifically, that thing is a bug.
With science, of course!
I do have an actual point other than making that regurgitation of an internet joke, but I'll let you finish.
It's based on a mantis. It's a bug, okay? Not much more to say here.
A bug typing would have been well fitting for Orlantis, and to extend Formantis as well, let's look at the name of Formantis. Formantis' name is based off the French word faux, or false, and mantis. I think everyone can connect A and B here. In addition, there are a ton of plants that look like bugs, and there are things I might add, quite a few being orchids. that can range from the Laughing Bumblebee Orchid, the Parrot Flower, and the Moth Orchid. While I can see the logic behind your reasoning, Loranta's grass solo typing does make a sense as well. If I would say one more thing about your entry to make your case stronger, I would have brought up the fact that it can learn more than one bug type move naturally. Granted, you need heart scales in order for it to teach it the same move via TM, but it would have been also a consistency with your prior entry. I'll also be skipping his Dalmai's segment since I can see the logic here, and I'd only have like two major complaints. One, that you bring up the Pokedex entries that say the anchor really isn't its body, and that being the seaweed, which kinda goes against your idea here. And two, considering its insanely high attack stat, Steelworker boosting the strength of Steel-type moves by 50% and the stab bonus, we'd be looking at a Pokemon whose Steel-type attacks would effectively make all its Steel moves be at 200% power. That'd be a bit overkill, but that's up to the player. That's why I'm not making it a real big deal.
Toucannon is a Pokemon that, as you guys know, I really love. And for a while, I never thought that there was anything wrong with its typing. But then I saw its Pokedex entries. When it battles, its beak heats up. The temperature can easily exceed 212 degrees Fahrenheit, causing severe burns when it hits. And from Pokemon Moon, within its beak, its internal gas ignites, explosively launching seeds with enough power to pulverize boulders. With these kinds of dex entries, you'd probably think that it's a fire flying type, right? Well, no, you're wrong. And I really don't understand why when Game Freak gives us Pokedex entries like that. Plus, its signature move Blast Beak burns you if you use a physical attack when it's charging up. These actions scream fire type, but I guess it just doesn't for Game Freak.
Well, this is another minor complaint from me since I too would like to see some more elemental birds like we did with Fletchling in Generation 6. One thing that could have easily strengthened your point here is the fact that Toucannon can actually learn fire type attacks, like Flame Charge and Overheat. Now granted, this is TM, and as I said with Necrozma, it would learn more natural moves for your typing I could understand. However, if this was lower on your list, I think it'd be a lot stronger, since you brought up a really good example with its signature move, Beak Blast, giving a burning effect. Despite what I said on Twitter, in retrospect, I can see the logic here. Now up to this point, the only real issues I've had were your first entry, and maybe the placement of these Pokemon on your list. Since this is a top list, and I'm not really seeing like a whole lot of reason why Necrozma is so low.
And the #1 most mistyped Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Moon is actually a three-way tie. Nihilego, Kartana, and Pheromosa are all some of the weirdest types I've ever seen.
Now, unlike a lot of people who do commentary videos, I honestly don't see an issue with having 3 Pokemon in a single entry, since these are all 3 Ultra Beasts, and thus they have a connection with each other, and in and of itself is a good reason to group the 3 together. That being said, though...
Like, why is Kartana a grass type? It's a sword. What does grass have to do with swords? And the fact that it's primary grass and secondary steel just makes even less sense.
I will give you credit that you do admit that you have realized it has a tie to origami, so I'm going to be a little bit more leeway on this than the other 2 Ultra Beasts. But despite the obvious reasoning of paper is made out of trees, and since we had tree-based Pokemon, the reason why its grass primary typing can be explained by its appearance, as you can see the folds in its legs. There's also the 2 antennae on top of its head as well as its body structure, which, taking into account the wings and limbs, gives it a butterfly-like appearance. Which is actually a big reference to origami, since in Japan the earliest reference to origami was that of a butterfly paper folding used in Shinto weddings. And considering that Pokemon's a Japanese game, that's not too far to imagine. Speaking of Japanese, if we look at its Japanese name, Kamitsurugi, it's actually a combination of kami, which translates to both paper and deity, as well as surugi, which means sword. And once again, considering the Pokemon's Japanese origins, it's not too much of a stretch to see them leaning to make it more grass the primary type. There's also the move pool, which it can only learn one Steel-type move via TM. Paper cut!
And can we take a look at Nihilego for a second? I can get behind the poison typing, but why rock type? Do you see any rocks here? Cause I see no rocks.
How true, I don't see any rocks. Round 1. But back onto point, while yes, there aren't any visible rocks, we need to consider what Game Freak gave us when UB1 was originally announced. UB1's body is composed of a glass-like substance, glass being the key word there, and glass is made up of chemical compounds silica, silicon discord or quartz, and sand. Minerals that come from rock. Not that hard to follow down the rabbit hole.
And finally, there's Pheromosa. Does this look like a fighting type to you? Not with those arms, they don't. Like, God, you need to hit the gym, buddy. That does not look healthy.
I'm sorry, you got skinny arms! Well, at least I don't have to worry about a glass jaw. We do have skinny fighting type Pokemon like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, so there's that. But the main reason why Pheromosa is a fighting type is due to them long legs. What you can consider as a kick fighter, and kick fighters often rely more on their legs to fight, especially since they can get more reach and have more power behind the attacks. And this is actually proven by Pheromosa's move listings: low kick, double kick, jump kick, stomp, triple kick, and high jump kick, the move supporting its kicking fighting type style. And with that, I'll end the video here. Eryzio and any other Poketubers who are watching this, however I may come off in these videos, I hold a lot of respect for you guys doing this. That being said, while this video did have a few flaws in it, I can see the logic behind most of your entries, and I do believe you're one of the guys who can make it big, Eryzio. However, I felt you could have made a really strong case for Necrozma by using the same logic you used in your list. There also is a lack of consistency, like with the Atlantis segment, since you only had just 1 point.
With science, of course!
And if there was more criticism I could give you, Eryzio, it's try to expand on your visual cues. I've seen a lot of your visuals being recycled. For example, the blonde guy who was shrugging was used twice in this very video, and I've seen a lot of the other videos. I can get behind wanting some consistency because, hey, I use the same avatar for the most part, but at the same time, it's good to change it up for your viewers. I'm MangaKamen and... Woo! I do have an actual point to make other than that regurgitate. I do have an actual point other than that regurgitation of an old. Blah, blah, blah. I do have an actual point other than the regurgitating that. And considering that Pokemon's a Japanese game, that's too hard. And since I'm tongue twisted today.